See, most of the things in life are quite simple. And it's just that as a human being, we are habitual of, finding difficult ways and doing complex things. And you will realize that most of the things, they are quite simple and yet very difficult. So thank you very much for sharing your experience. Any other question, any other thought on this?
See, I have a question actually.
Yes,
See,
please.
I do yoga and pranayam daily. My problem is I have seen that in case if I because yoga is also important for you,
Yeah.
pranayam is also that important for you, and then meditation is also important. So and it takes a lot of time. You need to have at least 2 to 2.5 hours to do pranayam, yoga, and then do meditation. And I've also seen that when I do a lot of means all the types of yoga and then pranayam, then I feel instead of feeling that energetic, after some time I feel that I feel that fatigue as well. So I really want to have that much of rest as well. So what is the right way
Hmm.
of giving, like how can we adopt meditation and yoga and pranayam, and if I want to do all together, fine, not at one time, but what should be the right way
Yeah.
of doing everything?
So, Chirag, thank you very much for bringing this question on this platform, because through you, I think many of the queries from other people will also get sorted. It's a very important question. And that gives me an impression that how long you've been practicing, because only a practitioner will ask these kind of questions. Because you tried something, now you want this to work better for you. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
At least you are better than those people who are not even trying. So congratulations for that you have reached to a different level altogether. Now you are searching for something bigger and brighter for that. Now, one thing that I really want you to make note of today, or maybe you can do some research on it, is the Ashtang Yoga, the 8 limbs of yoga. Please understand, pranayama. See, yoga, I mean, it's an interesting question. Basically, when we say yoga, it is not a different thing altogether. Most of the people think that yoga is about physical exercises. The actual word is yoga. Now, yoga comprises of everything that we do, including the meditation as well. So, unfortunately, nowadays our understanding of yoga is limited to physical exercises only, but essentially and ethically also, if you refer to traditional book, and especially the Ashtanga Yoga, the 8 limbs of yoga, which was actually invented and described in the by sage Patanjali, not Ramdev. I'm referring to the sage Patanjali, who is the writer of Yoga Sutra. So he says there are 8 limbs of yoga. So these 8 limbs are yama, niyama, which is related to your discipline and your routines, basically, before you get into the practice, right? The third one is pranayama, and the fourth one is asana. And then comes your meditation, actually comes at the 8th stage. Before that, you won't be able to do it. And let me also share my little experience basis of how we do it with our yoga studio participant. That anything and everything can be a meditative experience. For example, if you are doing inhalation, exhalation, be mindful. It can be a meditation. See, meditation is not something that you keep your eyes closed and sit like this for I don't know how many hours, and you are thinking of something else, or maybe you are literally sleeping. Anything and everything you do mindfully and consciously can be a meditative experience. Your pranayama can also be a meditative experience. You don't have to do it separately. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. This is the first sutra of Patanjali, Yoga Sutra. It says that the mind that goes here and there, yoga actually takes control of it. The nature of mind is to go here and there, just like our high heart beats, our eyes sees. We cannot ask ourselves, to stop our eyes to see. So similarly, our mind has to distract. Till the time your mind is not settled down, you will not be able to experience the meditative experience. You get my point? So yoga is essential because it will prepare your physical body and your mental body also, so that you can experience something. Now, please remember, next time from tomorrow when you practice, consider everything as a meditative experience. You don't have to do it separately. Today there are millions of meditation, all kind of meditation. So when you are doing your practice, tell yourself that this is what you are also doing. This is a part of your meditation. Meditation is anything and everything that you do consciously and mindfully. When you are doing your pranayama or anything associated with pranayama or exercise, be mindful of it. And this will help you. And if you get time, please take some time and read something about the Patanjali Yoga Sutra, the Ashtanga Yoga by Seth Patanjali. He has a book also, but it is written in Sanskrit. It is difficult to understand because it is written in shlokas. So unless you know Sanskrit, there are English interpretations also, and there are some fake interpretation also. Somebody has translated that, so, but there is no authenticity whether it was authentic transcription or translation or not. So at least refer to Ashtanga Yoga and develop your understanding on that. It's a good question. My suggestion to you is, from tomorrow when you practice, consider everything as a meditative process. And trust me, your experience will change. Thank you very much.
Yes, you are absolutely right, because when I do Bhastrika or Anulom Vilom or Kapal Bhati or Bhaiye or Tribandh or Bhramari, I have seen that I actually get that kind of relaxation. I do not find the need of doing the meditation after doing my pranayama.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just a kind of, just an extension to this question. Is it like, what is the right sequence? Should I first do pranayama and then start yoga? Or should I do first few asanas and then do pranayama? What is the right method? And this and the second part of this question is, like in case if I am doing, say, Shalabhasan, if I am doing, the Makarasan, or if I am doing, Pada Gushta Nasa Sparshasana, or if I am doing, see, whatever asana I am doing, what is the sequence? What is the right? I am worried about whether I'm not adopting the right sequence to do the yoga or not. So what is the right way actually?
Yes. So first of all, Chirag, there's nothing called right and wrong in this cosmic world. Everything is justified by the end of it, as long as you reach where you want to reach. And before I respond to this question, it's a very important question. And if you want, you can connect with me personally also, so that I understand what is your sequence, and then I can individually tell you this is how you try. Okay. And please don't follow what I say. If I give you a sequence, if you experience what you have not experienced, which you are missing, and what is lacking inside you, and which is pushing you today to ask this question openly, if you experience that, then it is a thumbs up for you that you have got your sequence right. Now, first of all, let me respond to your question, because this can be a question of others also. It's a very good question indeed. Ancient time, when yoga was invented, actually, it was a way of life, and everybody was experimenting with it. Nobody knew what is the right process. Even till today, I don't want to name out the institute name. There are many government institutes also. Morarji Desai Institute, which is government body, which is running through Ayush Ministry and all. They follow a different sequence altogether. If you go to Shivananda, Ayangara, Vinyasa, these are the authentic Gurukul. And if you go to a random yoga classes, they have anyways mixed it with Zumba, gym, and everything else. So many things are happening in the name of yoga. This is the biggest problem with our society. As a human being, we actually manipulate with knowledge. This is what we always do, and experiment whichever way we want to do it. Unfortunately, this has happened with yoga also. Now, what is right and what is wrong? This is a good question here. Now, so there are some certain logics for that. For example, when you follow a process, let's say, for example, when you drive, I can only give you this example. This is very common because most of people are driving today. What do? Do you start your car first, or the car start running automatically? You first start, you sit down in your car, you get the ignition on. We have automatic system now, so auto start option is there, but that does the same thing again. And then what you do, you press the clutch, brake, and you change the gear if you are not driving the automatic version of it. You always go for the first gear, you don't go for the fourth gear, right? And even if you want to go for the fourth gear, maybe you are able to pick it up, but it may not be that smooth every day. This is what is the significance of sequence, which I'm going to tell you, when you get in touch with me separately, because I need to understand what exactly you're doing and how we can, put it into a sequence. Now, coming back to the sequence, the ideal sequence is that first you do some kind of chanting. This is what I follow, and this is what we did in our demo. So why you do chanting? Because our surroundings, our mind is not pure. So we do some chanting of mantras, whichever way you do. I'm telling you my sequence basically that I do at my yoga studio, right? You can try and follow that. And it has helped me over the last 20 years, not individually, but collectively also, to help people. Not only to heal, but also to experience what you are referring. So the first part we do chanting. Why do we do chanting? So that we can purify the energies and surrounding. If your surroundings are not pure, then you will not be able to meditate. For example, sometimes you go outside and you don't like a person or you don't like that place because of no reason. Somehow you don't like it and you don't understand why it is happening, because there are certain energies, negative and positive. Same happens with positivity also, which you are not able to see. Another thing, not everything in your house is positive. There are different energies. Your bedroom will have a different energy. Your drawing room will have an energy. If you're sitting outside toilet, that could be so place is very important, especially when you're doing yoga and meditation. So these are small things which I may talk to you separately. Perhaps if we will talk about it, we'll have to have a full day session for that, because there's a lot more into it. Coming back to your question, the sequence that I follow is first the chanting part for the purification of our mind and the surroundings. That's number one. Then we do pranayama. Why we do pranayama? Because we want to activate the energy. Once we activate the prana, we use that activation in our body parts then. That's the logic. Once the prana gets activated, it activates your whole body then. So whatever asana you do in a sequential manner, of course you cannot do headstand in the beginning. It will create problem. You cannot start with a headstand.
Yeah.
All right. Or you cannot start with a Mayura asana directly. There has to be a sequence. There has to be a Sushum Vyama first of all that needs to be done. Small exercises that we have done in our previous session. And then you start with Surya Namaskara also. Surya Namaskara is something which is very important. And then you get into the asana in a sequential manner. For example, when you lie down, you cannot do Chakrasana straight away. Before that, you need to do Bridge Asana or the fish pose, the Matsya Asana. If you directly do Chakrasana, you have already created arch in your back. It might cause pain and injury in your body. So you need to start with a small stretching. You cannot get into the big asanas. Unfortunately, today yoga has become more like a circus, which is where my problem is. So just to showcase, people get into all these asanas. So try to do. This is how you find your sync initially. And then you end always with relaxation, and if you can do some kind of meditation. And let me tell you, you also mentioned you don't have to do yoga for 2 hours or 3 hours. Let me tell you, if you do it 1 hour properly, I'm telling you, this is more than 10 hours. I have a sequence which is only for 15 minutes. Shortcut, I call it. Sometimes I also do that when I don't have time. In 15 minutes, I can have exactly the same kind of intensity and feelings and the kind of essence of that workout of 2 hours. These are hardcore techniques. What do you think in Himalayas, people, these siddhas, what they are doing? They're only doing one asana. They're not doing many things. When you go to the upper region of Himalaya, you will see these people not doing everything that we do here. They have mastered certain technique. They don't have to do it for hours and hours. Anyways, that's a separate topic altogether. So my suggestion to you is, Chirag, because you look to me quite interested and you are quite serious on that, please connect with me separately. You can take my contact details from Nanita and I'll see what best I can do for you. And I'm not saying, I'm also the kind of person, I'm challenging and saying that upfront, that I will give you a sequence, you try it out. I'm not saying whatever I'm saying is right. All right. But if you connect to it, and if you get result, this is right for you. As simple as that.
So pranayam, in case as I have discussed about these 5 pranayam, like what is the ideal time of doing all these 5? Say starting with Bhastrika, Anulom Vilom, Kapalbhati, Bahya, Tribandh, and Bhramari. 6 pranayams types. Then
so what is
the ideal time?
Out of these,
should be given to these 6.
I'll also tell you not only the time but the sequence, because you mentioned 5 things. Now, what will happen eventually? You heard something, you Google it out, you saw on YouTube, and you start doing it. You thought, yoga will help automatically. No, it's not like that. If you take wrong medicine, if you do wrong asana, it will have bad effect on your body. So the first thing is always the Kapalbhati and then the Anulom Vilom, and then you do Bhramari and Bhastrika later on. Some people are also doing, instead of Kapalbhati, they are doing Bhastrika also, because what is happening, you are forcefully exhaling also. You don't have to do it. See, I'll tell you, Chirag, if you do many things, you probably need to spend 3 hours. And I don't think so you will have 3 hours dedicatedly every day.
No, I don't.
So it's better. Yeah, it's practically impossible. For me also, I have back-to-back sessions and interaction and meeting also. I honestly, initially I used to do when I used to wake up at 4 o'clock, I used to do it for 2 hours. But now I don't have time because I'm tired. So I only do it sometime for the shortcut 15 minutes or do it for 1 hour, not more than that. And let me tell you something. योगा में ज्यादा और जल्दी काम ही नहीं करता.
हाँ, वो तो है.
Too much and too quickly doesn't work. So if you think that you're doing for 10 hours yoga, your life will change, you will attain nirvana in one day, it is not going to happen. So ज्यादा और जल्दी तो काम ही नहीं करता इसके अंदर कभी भी. So anyways, that's a different thing. But thank you for asking this question. I think with you asking this question, a lot of other things I was able to share with you. Thank you very much. But you can connect with me separately so that I can advise you a sequence and you can try it out. Yeah. All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for participating today. If you need any kind of information related to yoga, meditation, Ayurveda, and wellness, please get in touch with us. Thank you very much. Stay safe.